must I go on pretending? Where is that happy ending? Where are you? Where are you?
Hello. Hello everyone. Oh, maybe move my camera up a bit. Hello everyone. Hey, King Badger, Juan Luis Choran, thanks for the compliment. And Leon Willis and Mitchell Green. I see there's 11 people on YouTube and 4 on Twitch. So, I'll make the chat now you cannot see. So now you can see both the Twitch chat and the, let me see if I can resize it a little bit. Like this, yeah. So now we can see both the Twitch chat and the YouTube, so everybody can see it. Hey, Jimmy Grant. Hey, Jimmy, you're here to troll me? So, first, before I do questions, so the reason I'm here is because I've been starting streaming on Twitch lately, and it's very enjoyable. I'm just basically practicing and having some conversations. And many questions are actually about music theory. Probably because I never talk about it in my videos. For a reason. The reason is I'm not really a music theory fan, in the sense that I understand music theory because of my background, being a composer arranger. But that was before I was a jazz musician. And I discovered, mainly through my contact with Stochel Rosenberg and other Synthi players, that actually music theory might be a barrier to learning how to play jazz on guitar. So I'm very specifically talking about playing jazz on guitar, but I think it goes for other instruments as well. And I learned to play jazz on guitar without any theory, right? So even though I know the theory, I never employ it, and that's why I never talk about it in my videos, and that's why I always am kind of negative about it, because I think it is something that will slow you down for sure. Right? It's not going to help you. It's going to help you understand some things, but it's not going to speed up the process. So I'm only talking about that, right? So if you want to understand how things work, yeah, then of course it's great. But if your goal is to be able to become a good player as fast as possible, then it's not going to help. That is my thoughts on it, right? But I mean, I like talking about music theory. I used to be big into it, right? Because as an arranger, of course, even though I think you could even arrange without it, it is very handy to understand things, just because it will speed up the process of arranging. Okay, that being said, I have some questions here that I wrote down that are common questions, but let's see. Let's see if there's questions from any of you about music theory or about jazz improvisation, or how I think they intermingle. Well, I just told you they don't, but maybe some other thoughts, other questions about improvisation, or what I'm thinking about. Those questions I'll be happy to answer. So I see a question here by Juan Luis Choran. I'm a classical guitar player, and have been trying to adapt what I learned from you to my classical technique. Okay, so that's a question about technique. So I assume then that you want to use your fingers, right? Now, there was someone asking me that question on their YouTube video, and I answered some time ago. I answered like, I'm not aware of many people that play gypsy jazz with fingers, but then somebody corrected me, and there is indeed a a couple of players from France, from the Alsace region maybe, and they are actually flamenco. They play kind of a rumba style flamenco, and they also play gypsy jazz really well. Now I forgot the name. Laurier, I think. Laurier. I will look it up later. But there are some people that do it, but not many. So I think to be able to play gypsy jazz convincingly with your fingernails, it probably requires flamenco technique, right? Because they're used to playing really fast with two fingers with a lot of attack. And that's basically what you're after when you play gypsy jazz. You want this attack, right? You don't want to have this soft sound. Also because you will never be able to hear it above a rhythm guitar, right? You need to have some kind of projection. So probably that the direction is gonna be flamenco technique, fingerstyle technique. Okay. Ideas that you have noticed that Wes Montgomery likes to use on dominant chords. Yeah, well, that's actually pretty easy. It's either blues stuff, right? Like the stuff, I just made a video with top 10 blues licks, so stuff like that. Well, this is very bluesy. He would actually not play that bluesy. It's more like stuff like that. But it can be bebop licks, but I think mostly what he likes to do is actually play the 2 chord on it, right? So if you have C7, let's say you play a song like Sweet Georgia Brown, right? Where you have, let's say we play it in F, so it starts on D7. So he would be playing A minor. And then we go to G7, and he'll be playing D minor. I can actually demonstrate that if you want. So let me demonstrate that. So I'll get a backing track of Sweet Georgia Brown, and I will only just play 2 chords. So I might play the 5 chord a little bit before I change chords. So let me explain. So I have Sweet Georgia Brown here in F on my backing track list. Let me know if it's too loud, the backing track. So the first chord is D7. So I'll be playing A minor. And when I play A minor, right, then I think a lot about C major 7. And then we're going to go to G7. I'll be thinking D minor or F major 7. And then for C7, I'm going to be thinking G minor. And that will sound great. Of course, and Wes would like to also play some kind of riffs, right? Stuff like stuff like that. But that's not really part of my style yet. But I actually made a video about Wes Montgomery talking about minor stuff, and there is some licks like that on it. So check that. But right, so of course I have kind of a gypsy jazz way of phrasing or of connecting the lines. That's not really like Wes Montgomery, but that sound is something that he would really like. So it's basically playing sus chords for everything, right? D sus to G sus and then C sus, and then maybe at the last moment you play the dominant chords. Okay, good question, nice question. So yeah, the West likes to play the 11 on minor chords too. So when you would be thinking D7, and he'd be playing A minor, and then he would like to play the D on it. Of course, that's actually the root, but let's say the chord is really D minor, A minor. He likes to play, he likes that sound. Okay, Let's go to the next question. King Better asks, do you have a language for rhythm notation besides 1 and 2 and 3? In Danish, we say diga, dig. Yeah, so 1 and 3 over D and da, yeah. Yeah, oh, you mean like, there's an Indian system for rhythms, which is very, very complicated. I forgot the name now, but they vocalize every rhythm, but it's very complicated. I don't know anything about it. I teach at a university with an Indian department, so I've seen many performances. It's very interesting. There is a use for it in jazz, but only if you play like lines that actually would be played in Indian music. Like for bebop lines, you can get away with 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and so that's for me, it's enough. Christian, have you seen rhythm players play that pomp with the fingers and sound good? Well, the second question I can't answer because that's objective. But of course, there is a very famous guitar player that has a rhythm player that plays with his fingers. Not always, but in his original trio, Joshua Stefan was playing with his father, and his father played with his thumb. But I imagine his thumb must feel like a pick, because, I mean, he's really hitting those strings hard in those fast tempos, and it sounds... I mean, I can hear it's a finger, but it also sounds like maybe it's just like a soft pick or something. So, yeah, you can do it with your fingers. It's probably would require a lot of training to make that consistent and to not hurt, when you do that. So I would advise to just try and learn it with a pick. The thing is, people always ask me about exceptions, but the thing is, like they ask me, okay, Jimmy holds his pick like this, so shouldn't I be holding it like this because Jimmy is very fast? True, Jimmy's one of the fastest players, but there is a reason why he's the only one that's doing it. He learned it that way, but it's probably not the most natural way because most players don't do it. And there's many more players that don't do it that play fast. So I would always go for the average in this case, or like the best practices, like the best practices. How do you say that? How do you phrase that? What is adapted by the best players on general, and that's a pick, like 99.9%. So just learn with a pick. I have many tutorials about it. It's not that hard. It is hard to get a good sound, but it's not so hard to practice it, right? It's very easy to practice it. So just do it with a pick. Take a round pick to start with. I mean, I play with this pointy pick, but I have developed the technique to a high level, so I can use any pick. But in the beginning, it was very hard. I needed a more of a rounder edge to make a good rhythm sound. So start with a pick like that. Alright, Christian, I'm currently trying to use the altered scale in my solos. I have trouble making lines that sound good. Yeah, that's actually very easy to answer. So I made a video called Gypsy Jazz Loops. That's the video you gotta watch. I made many more videos after that with similar things. There's a chapter in my book about it. But don't use the altered scale. Use a selection from the altered scale. So the way I like to look at it is, when you have G7, or G7 altered, of course. Altered, by the way, means flat 9, flat 13, right? There's a sharp 9 in the altered scale, but the sharp 9 is also, for example, in the octatonic scale or the diminished scale. Like if you want to have purely altered, flat 9, flat 13 would give you a completely altered sound. So the selection I would use, I would think about the minor 6th up from a G, which is E flat, right? And I would play a major scale 5 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then go half note up. That's it, right? And I would play that in many octaves, right? But then I would play it down, so you get... But it's the same thing. I'm playing that E major scale with a half step. So instead of doing... But then half step. Same octave lower. Same octave lower. So that's the scale you should use, because that scale is very symmetrical. It's 6 notes. It always ends well. And then you play diminished up. So, and another thing you could do is think about A flat minor. So G7, think about A flat minor, and think about adding the 9 in there, so you get, right? You can play it over multiple octaves. So now I can play diminished up, that altered pattern down, diminished up, and now A flat minor at 9. Right, that's a very easy way to make altered sound very good. Now you could mix in the Phrygian dominant scale, which is basically for G, that would be C minor melodic, and that sounds a little bit different from the altered scale because you get that scale. That's more of a kind of a gypsy jazz sound. So in this scale, there is no sharp 9, for instance. But I'm playing a sharp here, but it's not there. So there's no B flat, right? And the altered scale has that sharp 9. That's the difference. But you can mix them all together. Now I'm talking about it in a very theoretical way. The best way to do it is actually learn the fingerings. And I talk about the fingerings in that video called Gypsy Jazz Loops. It's the first one. Just learn those lines and you're set for altered. In videos and your book, you have 2 different licks or scales or whatever for all. Yeah, so I just talked about it. No, it doesn't matter when you use, I try to kind of mix between them, right? If I have used a lot of altered and I find myself again here, then I would play, how does it go here? So now, let's first I will play altered down. Now the other one. Right, so, and it's also a fingering thing because I just entered a different place and it gives me different options. So I always talk about floating above, like observing myself or listening to myself when I'm playing, right? Because I can play completely automatic if I have to, right? Because I've practiced so many licks, like for hours. I can play without thinking. Might not be the best solo, but I could do that. But what I would always do, even when I'm not thinking about it and I'm just playing automatic fingerings, is I would listen to see if I'm not repeating myself too often. Because of course, I mean, this is one of my favorite licks. Right, that's... If I'm not paying attention, I would play that lick like 10 times in each solo. So I have to watch myself, like, oh, you starting this thing again. Let's end it in a different way. Right, so then I would do it like that. Okay. Thank you. You are a genius. That's what my mom says. I'm not a genius. I'm nowhere near a genius. I know real geniuses. Like I'm somebody that practices really hard all the time, from a very young age, in different disciplines. So it might appear genius, but it isn't. Like Borelli, he's genius. Stochlo. Hi Christian, what suggestions do you have on creating a practice routine that develops musicality as opposed to just running up and down arpeggios and scales? Actually, what I would do is I would never run up and down arpeggios and scales. Just learn licks or phrases or whatever you want to call it. I call it licks. It's just a short word. I like it. Oh, that's a cool lick, Just learn licks because they are musical phrases. But learn licks by the masters. Learn licks by Django, by Grappelli, by Borelli. Don't learn licks from just anyone. Learn licks from really great players. And you know why they are considered great? Because their solos are so great, right? Or they have a good sound, good timing, but also they say something in the solo. So just why not learn those phrases? My channel is a very good resource for it because that's the only thing I do, right? Every video is about, I'm showing you licks that I didn't come up with myself. I show you licks that I stole or transcribed from really great players. And so don't run up, down scales on arpeggios. I mean, not for me. I don't believe in that. I know there's many people that teach that way, and there's also many people that play great that have learned that way. I just think it's the long way. It's not the short way. Because I can teach you the altered scale, and you can mess around with that and find some patterns. Or I could teach you this thing, and you sound good immediately. So, my question is an extension of this altered scale question. Okay. Yeah, whatever I hear at the moment, or whatever I think would create the most interest, right? What creates the most interesting thing, like, and that doesn't have to only be notes. It could also be that I think, okay, I play too many single line right now. I should play some chords, or I should play some. I'm not very good at octaves, but that could be another thing. But usually it's gonna be chords, right? Some cool voicings, something like that. Someone suggested yesterday on the Twitch stream if I could play a solo where I would intermingle chords and lines like all the time. It was actually very interesting. I've never done that, but I was doing it. It's like, oh, that's actually a great idea. It sounds good. I should do that more. So it's also about being aware of what's possible. Okay, so I see the questions have dried up for now, but I have some questions here that, by the way, for the 14 people on YouTube, also consider, thank you so much for watching and subscribing to my channel. I'm guessing you're subscribed, because otherwise you wouldn't get the notice. Also, consider subscribing or following me on Twitch, because I'm there every day practicing, having conversations, answering questions, just hanging out with other jazz guitar nerds. So follow me on Twitch. Just click on the link in the description. It's twitch.tv at Christian van Hemert. So it's like patreon.com at Christian van Hemert, like what you can see, but then it's twitch.tv. And I'll be hanging out after this stream ends. I'm just gonna hang out on Twitch, maybe play some songs. Okay, so I have some questions here that are being asked all the time. No, there's no new emotes. I just made one emote. So for the people that don't, if you're on Twitch, you can subscribe to my channel. I only have one subscriber, but I'm going for followers now, and then you get emotes. But I made 3 emotes, one for each level, but I can only make more emotes once I have 5 subscribers. I only have 1, so I need to have 5 for that. Okay. I'm having problems coming up with licks or patterns in second position, like G major from 5th to 8th frets. 5th, I never play in the second position. I only ever play from, that's the Van Hemert system. Look up a video. I only ever play from in the basses. Like there's a little bit more stuff, but like to start, I only play from 3 positions: root, 3rd, and 5th. That's it. Now for dominant chords, I might go to 7, but that's it. That's the only position I would play off initially. Then later, there's some more stuff, like I would play a position from the flat sharp 9 for dominant chord. But for basses, so I never play G major from here. I think that's just not very logical to think about the 9 with my, because I always move to the with my first finger, so I don't do that. Also, I never come up with licks. I don't have to come up with licks. I just steal them from other people. So I've never a problem with coming up with stuff to play. Everything I play is great because I took it from a great source. And if it doesn't sound great, I'm just messing up. I'm playing the wrong thing, or I'm at the wrong fret, or my technique is not working, or my timing is bad. But if I play everything correctly, then it has to sound great, because the source is Django and Charlie Parker and Joe Pass, and you know, so. And somebody asked me on Twitch, like, you never seem to make a mistake, never like a wrong note. But the thing is, that's because all the licks I play, they are great, right? Otherwise, I wouldn't have transcribed them. So, yeah. Do you ever look into Barry Harris' scale of chords? No. The reason is the same. I don't believe in scales, right? I don't believe in scales at all. It's like I don't know. I cannot even play a scale. I can play the major scale to C major from here. You know why? Because it's a Django lick. It's the start of a solo for After You've Gone. That's how he starts his solo. So I can play from here. I don't know why. It's probably for a lick too. That's it basically. So I never practice a scale. I don't believe in scales. I mean, scales is great for analysis, but it will not give you any good phrases by itself. You have to develop the good phrases. You might be very lucky and develop some really cool phrases. I bet they have already been played by other great players, so you could have also taken it from there. Another thing about scales and that's something that's related to guitar, is that often when you learn scales, you're stuck to that fingering, right? You're like, oh, I learned the skill like this. Now there's this lick that goes like, right, something like that. So that's the fingering I use. As you can see, it's not in the skill fingering. You know why? Because that's a nice lick. And then I just find the best place to play it. And I tie it to one of my positions. If I would have to do it in a skill form, then often I would probably get fingerings that are not very nice, either for my left hand or for my picking hand. So by not employing skills but thinking in phrases, you can always find the nicest place for your style of playing, for your technique, or for your left hand capabilities. That's why I don't play skills. Skills will make you play certain fingerings. So I bet Barry Harris stuff is great. I mean, I know lots of great players that have used it, but not many guitar players. And even Pasquale Grasso, who often talks about it and can demonstrate it, when I hear him play, I hear all Bud Powell licks. So I don't really understand then why would you need the Barry Harris theory if you could just study Bud Powell piano solos, what he did, and I could study him, for instance. I can just about transcribe licks by ear, but I'm hopeless at hearing the harmony if I don't have a chart. Do you have any tips on hearing the background chords better, or is it even that important? No, it's not that important. If you have an iReal app, I mean, if you don't know the song and it's not an iReal, then find another song that is an iReal, or ask someone for the chords. I don't put a big emphasis on ears or like at all, right? I don't have very good ears. I have perfect pitch, so it's very easy for me to hear melodies. It's easy for me to hear chords, but not in full speed. I actually have to stop after a chord and then sing, kind of hear the notes in my head. But when I don't know a song, I'm not gonna sit there and try to hear the song. I just take my app and look at my real app and then show the person, like, do you like these chords? And then they would maybe say, well, the F7 there, I don't like F7. It has to be B flat 7. And then I would actually change it in the chart, copy the chart, put his name there. For instance, I have some versions that Cha likes of certain songs. So I have a gig with Cha, and he calls a song. Then I just look it up. It's like, oh, yeah, that's what he likes. And then he'd be happy because I'm playing the chords that he likes. And he doesn't have to remind me every time of the things that he likes. So don't worry about not hearing chords. Just find a chart or ask someone. Don't worry about that. Not important. Oh, I have it too. I should have an alert for subscribers. I did hear something, so should be. Skill of chords is for chord melodies. Oh, okay. So I didn't know that. Well, chord melodies, I'm very sorry. I don't believe in chord melody in the sense that I want to practice it. So I like hearing it. So I'm pretty annoyed at watching channels, jazz guitar videos with millions of views, and the only thing I'm hearing is chord melody. Because a chord melody can be played by anyone, by any guitar player, or like a classical guitar player or a flamenco guitar player. It has nothing to do with improvisation, unless, of course, the chord melody is improvised, maybe like what Pasquale Grasso is doing. Well, but to get to that level of improvisation on guitar, right, with all the inner voices moving, that's gonna take a lifetime of practice. I don't have time for that. I just want to play nice solos. Now, I do like practicing chords, but I do it the same way as I do phrases, right? I just see something nice. I see Pretty Bernstein play. But that's a 2-5-1 to F. I just figure out what he's doing. I learned the voicings by voicing. Oh yeah, that's interesting. And I don't even think about the theory. And I just store it in my my memory or my fingers. And then next time I play a solo and I think, oh, I need some chords, and I might play this chord, these chords. Or there's another one by Peter Bernstein. Right? These are just things I've learned. right? So these are just chord formulas I've learned and stored the same way I've done with licks. I just learned a new one, which was the very cool one. Oh no, it's kind of more of a lick, but yeah. But of course, nice chord melody is great, and listening to Joe Pass do that. But I figure like these people, like Joe Pass, Pasquale Grosso, Barney Kessel, probably Wes Montgomery, they could improvise that, and that's a skill that I very much admire, but I have no interest in developing myself for now. Idea on how to use whole tone without sound like a skill? Yeah, just learn some Django licks. There's a great by Django. Let's see. That's a yeah. That is a lick that uses the whole tone scale, for instance. Just a Django lick. There's more. I have a Pasquale Grosso one. I'll play it. I'll play it for you. So the Pasquale Grosso one is this one. I'm gonna play. Which song I'm gonna play? So I can show it in the right key. Let's play. Let's play Dinah. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna play Dinah. So then I'm in the key of G. So the Django lick would be like this. And the Pasquale Grosso one would be. Or I could do it here. Okay, let's do it. Oh, and there's a Stochler one. Stochler one for E. You can play it on E minor. Okay, let me play. So Dinah, right? Here we go. Ah. That's Django. So I know more probably, but for now that's what I can come up with. But yeah, so same answer for everything, right? If you want to learn something that doesn't sound like a skill, find a lick that has it. Okay. What standards? What standards are good for practicing minor 2/5s? There's one called Woody and You. That's a great one, of course. Although it doesn't really resolve to the one, actually. Then, what is the thing called Love? It starts with a 2/5-1 to F minor, and then there's another minor 2/5-1, but it ends in major. But you could still play what you want to practice on the 2/5. Autumn Leaves, of course, because Autumn Leaves, there's a bunch of minor 2/5s, same key, but still. What else? Embraceable You. No, and not Embraceable You. Don't Blame Me. Don't Blame Me. It's all minor 2/5s, but it never goes to minor. Just it ends in major, but still, you still get the 2/5. So, Woody and You. Night and Day. Also minor 2/5, but it goes to major. How do you expand your phrasing ideas? Could you clarify that question? What do you mean? I'm not sure what you mean. What about Eddie Lang? Jungle chord melody is very beautiful. Yeah. Again, if I like something that I hear in a chord melody, I would actually transcribe the bit that I like. I did it with Peter Bernstein. I made a video about it, about some chord melody stuff he did for an intro, which was beautiful. But it's only for patrons. But I did it with that, for instance. Do you think it is helpful to practice strict Dutch Stochelo writing technique and the more French alternating style at the same time, or better to pick one and stick it to muscle memory? If I can give you any advice, I would not do the Stochelo thing. Because the Stochelo thing, I did it for 2 years. The Stochelo thing would imply that you would also play a downstroke before you go to a next string. So, for instance, if you play a diminished arpeggio like this, right? And I do just down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down. Stochelo would do all down. So you get this kind of, you can see it in his right hand. Now this is very difficult, and I only know 3 people. No, there's some more people, but for now I can just think of 3 people that can actually do that and make it sound really good. Stochelo, Moses, Jimmy, Paulus sometimes, not always. Sometimes Paulus actually does some upstrokes. I would advise against it. Again, it's like, it's only a minority of people that do that. So even though I started like that, when I discovered, hey, when I saw Digdu Schneeberger from Germany play the same licks as Stochelo, but actually not doing this, it's like, oh, that seems actually like a much more sensible thing. So then I changed. And I'm very happy because it's so much easier to just to alternate. The only thing I still do from Gypsy Jazz picking technique is, of course, my hand posture, the motion, and I change mostly with a downstroke, like 99.9% of the time. There's some licks like this one that I actually do an upstroke here. But that's a recent thing. I didn't do that. I'm practicing like this every day. Alternating. So that I can do some occasional upstrokes when I start. But for instance, what I do, there's this famous Stochelo lick that goes like this. Right? For Stochelo starts at downstroke. And then immediately there's a double down. For him, the double down, just, I think he can do it faster even than alternating. But for me, if I can start with an upstroke to make it easier, I would do it. So I would start that with an upstroke. I still get a double down there. But it's only 1 instead of 2. So, you know, there's stuff like that. Stochelo would do down, up, down, down, up. I just do. I taught myself to give accents on the upstroke. So it sounds like a downstroke. But it's just alternating. So I can, like, right? I end with an upstroke with an accent. Stochelo would do always a down there. Otherwise, he would not get he would never do an accent with an upstroke. But I decided that's much easier. So focus on licks and combine them with other ideas. Yeah. For me, I focus solely on licks, chord progression, chord voicings, but you could also call it licks because they usually are combinations of chords, right? That I think they sound great. What's the difference between a stem collector and a jazz musician? One gets tired of licks. Funny. How do you practice your phrasing? Do you mean timing? Because so phrasing is a vague word, but for me, phrasing means like inflections, embellishments, pull-offs, hammer-ons, target notes, accents, stuff like that. And so it's a big topic, but that I would study per lick, right? Let's say I have that's a lick from E7 to A minor. That's actually a lick of mine. Then I would practice to have an accent. That would be part of the phrasing. So I would say, okay, downstroke here, down, up, right? Stuff like that. Or it says up, down, up. So I would be sitting with a metronome and then be very aware of where the accent is. If you talk about timing, I made a video. I just released a video on my channel called How Do You Get Good Timing? So watch that video because I explain exactly how you can develop your timing. How do you approach soloing over tunes like Night and Day and Just One of Those Things, where you have these cadences with half diminished, -6, -7, diminished especially? Just One of Those Things I have never played. But you mean, okay, so Night and Day where you have this, right? So G half diminished. So G half diminished, G minor, F sharp minor, diminished, right? So that progression is pretty easy to play over, although it doesn't seem like it. You have to realize that there's only 3 chords possible, right? There's a dominant, a tonic, and a subdominant. And all other chords are derivatives of one of those 3. So if you get a progression like this, it's just a matter of figuring out, okay, what are these chords? What are the real chords? Now, there's one exception. That's when there's a dominant string. So when you have a string of dominant chords in a row, right? Like, for instance, Suitor to Brown, then that's its own thing. So you have dominant strings, which happens a lot in jazz, like a rhythm changes bridge, and you have 1, 4, and 5, or 1, 2, and 5. So in this song, Night and Day, this is just E7, right? G half diminished E7. So now we get a dominant string because the second chord, G minor in D, that's the 4th degree, right? Subdominant minor. That is a substitute for an altered dominant. So what's a dominant in D? It's A7. So the first 2 chords are E7, A7, right? E7, A7 altered. Then we get F sharp minor, that's 6, that's a substitute for 1, so it's D. Then we get this diminished chord. The rule for diminished chords, this is a subdominant, but the rule for diminished chords, a very easy rule, is if the root of the main key is in the diminished chord. So the main key is D. There's a D in this chord. The best thing you could do, or an easy thing to do, is just play an altered dominant a half step down from the main key. So D flat 7, right? D flat 7 altered. So E7, A7 altered, D, so it's just 2, 5, 1, but the 2 is a dominant chord. D7 altered. Okay, you can hear it, right? G half diminished. E7 altered. D. D7 altered. Do I have that song on my backing track? Because I could play it then for you. Maybe I don't have that, huh? What's the name of the song? Night and Day. I don't think I have it. I should make that. Do I have Djangology? I don't. Okay. So Djangology, that's the same changes as Night and Day. I think that's where Django got it from, right? Because it's the same. So if you would play Night and Day in G, let me see, what note would the theme start then? Would start on a D. So, da da dee dee da ba da da dee 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 da ba da 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 ba da dee dee da. Yeah, that's same. So for that thing, so you get. Let's play Djangology. So. A7, D7, G, F sharp altered, 251. Bridge, A7. So, 251 in D, but the 2 is E7, and then D flat 7 altered, and then just 251. Those chords are just there to confuse you. Okay. One could argue that harmonically gypsy jazz isn't that difficult, I guess, but it's the same as jazz. There are a lot of progression blocks that occur in songs again and again. Yeah, but it's the same like jazz. It's the same harmony. It's just there's more songs in jazz. You have more songs. So, of course, you get some weird stuff in there like Body and Soul. I mean, it goes to multiple keys, or a song like... It Could Happen to You is kind of weird, right? There's some... You get some weird things, but... Are there more of these progressions that you can think of? Not really. I mean, it's basically all pretty simple. You know, the trick isn't to learn to connect everything in multiple tempos, in multiple keys for different songs, of course, because the progression order changes, and to make sense of it, to play something that showcases the harmony, but also you create something very interesting on its own. That's the most difficult part, right? Can you outline the harmony, but also make something that is just enjoyable to listen to, and not just outlining the harmony? But you need to be able to outline the harmony. Do you have to be an expert before playing gypsy jazz live with other musicians? Is it possible to just be a company? Of course, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the nice thing about gypsy jazz, is the bar to enter is very low, because you could just learn to play some rhythm and do that, right? And then maybe you're playing minor string and you say, guys, can I have like one chorus solo? And you probably mess it up like really badly. It's gonna happen to me, and then you're gonna feel really bad. But at least you did it, and then next time maybe you can do it on 2 songs, or you can work on minor string, and you know. So yeah, please do that. Do you approach differently the 2 in the 251 where the 2 is dominant? Yeah, of course. And there's a couple of strategies. Let's say we have a 251 in G, so A7. So my guitar is really out of tune. I'm gonna tune it. I think these strings need to be changed. So, so let's say A7, D7, G, right? So for A7, a couple of things you could do is you could just play C sharp diminished, that to D7. That's a great option. Another option is to play E minor on the A7. to D7. Or you could play E minor 6. So I was now playing E minor majors, E minor 7. E minor 7. You could play E minor 6. What else could you do? Actually, that's basically what I do. Those, you could play the bebop scale. You know what Stoffel likes to do is he likes to play on a song like undecided, right? So it's C7, F7, and then D7, G7C. He likes to play. So he plays D7 diminished arpeggio, F sharp diminished, and on G7 he likes to play F minor 6. Also, what he likes to do is to play that sound like so on the D7 he likes to play a C augmented sound. So you play, and then you could do G augmented. Do I have a song with 2 dominant chords in a row? I don't have undecided. Oh, maybe exactly like you. Is it exactly like you like that? Yeah. No. It's just normal 2-5-1. I don't have songs like that. I need to record more songs. I don't have a 2-5-1 with a 2-chord being a dominant. I do have a lot of them with like two bars of the 2-chord, right? Like if you have a song like "There Will Never Be Another You," and here F7, B flat 7, or you could be F minor 7, B flat 7. That's the same. So F7 2 bars. You could do the same thing. You could play like F7, the diminished arpeggio, A diminished. For 2 bars, maybe you have to. And then A flat minor 6. Or you could do the augmented thing. Now, I'll show you. So there will never be another you, right? I have that one. Oh, I have Dewey Square. I think that has like the short 2-5-1. Let me see. Yeah, okay, Dewey Square, so it's an E flat, it's just basically the same chords as Lady Be Good, almost. But it is E flat, D flat 7, E flat, C7, and then F7, B flat 7, E flat. So I will play like the diminished, or I will play the augmented, so... Is that correct? No. It's like F7. Right, I'll play it. It's difficult to say everything correctly. Oh, that's not the right song. Wait, Dewey Square. What's the theme again? Wait. I want to play the A part here. Oh yeah, that's it. Okay, here we go. Boom. Okay. I'm trying, but what you could also do, so play blues on it. Just play E flat blues on that 251. That sounds great too. That's a nice tune. I haven't played it for a long time. Have you transcribed any Charlie Christian? Not yet, but I maybe should do that. What's your favorite Gypsy Jazz player? Stochelo. Easy. Would you approach the 6 that is dominant? The 6 that's dominant. Do you mean like when you have, like when you play Coquette, and you play like G6, A6? But 6 that's dominant, do you mean that? Like when there's a 6 chord on the dominant, that's actually just a 7 chord, but they leave the 7 out and they just play the 13. That comes from old big band arrangements where you have the saxophone section had to play some 4-part harmony, but the root of the chord was in the theme. Like let's say the song is A7, you have this kind of theme, but it's A7 there. Then they didn't want the sound. They didn't want the sound of. How would you play that on guitar? I cannot play the C sharp, but they didn't want this sound. They didn't like this second interval on top, so they would make that a 6. So then it looks like a 6 chord, but actually the rhythm guitar would be just playing 7. So you can do that in rhythm guitar, like when you play Coquette. E minor, A7, then just play G6 to A6. I made a video about that. It's called Novel Chords for Coquette, and I played a bunch of that stuff. But it's still 7 chords, right? The function is still dominant, but you can just play a 6 chord because that's just a 13 and you leave out the 7. You can play a lot of instruments at a high level. Do you have a unique approach to each of them? For example, for guitar, you focus on learning nights. Yeah. Yes. So that's one of the questions I get a lot, and I also prepared that. So the guitar, when I learned guitar, I figured out very quickly. Okay, this fretboard is very difficult to learn. It's very big, and you get lost very easily. And then there's 6 strings. So is there any use for me to learn all the notes on the fretboard? No, there isn't, because I know one of the best guitar players that doesn't know any note on the fretboard. Stochelo. So why would I learn that? And basically all Gypsy Jazz players, all synth players, they don't know the notes on the fretboard because they're using patterns, right? And of course that makes the most sense because you can just move that stuff around, right? If you learn this lick, that's a great lick for C, then yeah, you can play it in F. You don't have to know the notes in it, you just have to know the fingerings and the picking. And that takes a lot of time to practice by itself. So why would I then also learn all the notes in all the keys? This makes no sense. Now, I'm learning the notes very slowly over time because I'm playing a lot of guitar, and then, of course, I have perfect pitch. So now I know there's a B there just because I played that note many times, right? But there's a lot of notes I don't know, and I have to first play it, and I say, oh yeah, it's a G, right? Because I just hear it, but I don't know it's a G before I play it because I don't think like that. So yeah, it's different approach for different instruments. Bandoneon is a very technical instrument in the sense that you have to press the right button to get the right key. So in the beginning you have to just memorize scale patterns like how your hand moves to get the right keys. And violin, for example, is a very logical instrument, very easy to know what you're playing at all times. It's very easy to understand the fretboard of the violin. It goes very quickly. Also because the way you learn the instruments, it's very easy to read on a violin. So my approach to violin jazz is more theoretical, just because that's a language of a violin player, is to think about notes and note names and scales, right? Scales are very easy to play on violin because there's in one position. It's more of a diatonic instrument in the sense that if I put my 4 fingers down like this on the violin, I'm not playing chromatically, I'm playing diatonically. So chords are very natural to play on the violin, or scales. So it makes sense to talk about scales on the violin. Where should you add chromatic approach to your improvisation? I do it in front of a lick and after a lick. So let's say I have this lick. That's just a lick, right? and I could play, right? Some notes before, or at the end. Can I do it at the end? Right, that makes no sense. Right, maybe like that. Let's do another lick. Let's do. Right, so that's a Stochler lick, E7 to A minor. So at the beginning I could do. Right? Or. So I would just add chromatics in the beginning and the end, and then it becomes something like connecting different licks by chromatics, like Stochler likes to do. Just to move his first finger to the right position. Like let's say he's playing minor string and he's somewhere here. But he wants actually to go there for E7, then he would maybe. So that's how I use chromatics. Of course, I know many licks that are very chromatic, like. But that's just a lick. It has the chromatics built in. I don't have to do anything there to sound chromatic. I'm just searching for chromatic licks in players, and I find stuff, and I remember it. E7 on key of G, for example. What's that example of what? Did I miss something? Would you? Approach the sixth degree. E7 the key of G. That usually goes to A minor, so it's an altered chord. But all of me. It's just altered or octonic. Then we get A7. Now A7 here goes to D minor. Again E7. Maybe play B flat 7. Yes, I treat all dominants the same, but you have to be careful not to alter all dominants. Not because you can't, because you can. You definitely can. Just because it gets boring. So sometimes you have to just play something augmented or octonic, or just like don't alter. Just play for A7. Play the 3-2-1 licks of Stochler, like. Yeah. Or like the bebop scale, or you could just play E minor. That would be my option for A7. If you don't want to alter it, I would just play the 3-2-1 licks of Stochler 3-2-1 licks. 3-2-1. I made a video about it. Or I would play the bebop scale, or play E minor, either E minor 7 or E minor 6. Those are basically the options. I would like to know your opinion on how to build up a solo. You are a great and inspiring teacher. Oh, thank you. How to build up a solo. The best way to do that is actually to just play and record yourself. Now, I do that every day, right? Because I record almost everything on Twitch is recorded. It's very great. I listen back and like, oh, okay, I'm playing way too many notes here. Or like I'm repeating that like 5 times. Is it really necessary? And I like to play long solos to test that, right? Because if you can be interested in a long solo, I mean, it doesn't have to be that you can be interested in a short solo, but if you test yourself, like, can I play 5 choruses and be reasonably interesting? Just listen back to yourself and listen to yourself like like an audience member and think to yourself, okay, yeah, that's pretty good, but what am I missing? It's like maybe you're missing some chords, maybe you're missing some space, maybe you're missing some octaves, maybe you're missing some like guitar tricks, or maybe you're missing like parts of the theme. It also depends on, of course, on your taste. So that's how you would build up, practicing building up a solo. How to play ballads? I mean, I find it very hard. Yeah, it's very hard. It is very hard. I have still not cracked that code. I spend most of my time working on like swing timing, and that all goes out of the window when you play a ballad. So some nice chords. I think you have to think more about like play some chords and some lines, and then try to have a kind of a floaty timing, like when you play like a bunch of fast notes, and then don't play. Like somebody that's really good at that is actually Ulf Akenius. Listen to him play In a Sentimental Mood with the Ray Brown. It's on YouTube. You just type in Ray Brown Sentimental Mood, Ulf Akenius, and listen to his solo there. It's like there's a lot of space. There's some fast stuff. There's some bluesy stuff. Are there chords? I don't know if they're chords, but yeah, it's really very balanced, but it's difficult. I find it very difficult to play a good solo on a ballad. I have done it, but I also have played many crappy solos. Yeah, there's many ways to do that, but I mean, it's baked into the standard, right? If you wanna, but like you can always very easily modulate with a diminished chord, right? If you are in the key of C and you play C diminished chord, you can go back to C, but you can also think of this diminished chord as like A flat 7 and go to D flat, right? Or to any of the other four possibilities. But there's another chord, right? It's not diminished. I think it's called double diminished. It is also a great way of modulating. So, for instance, this chord, you could think of it as D with a C in the bass, or C double diminished. So this chord can go to G, or this chord couldn't go because it's also a raised fourth degree. I'm confusing myself. This chord could also go to F sharp. Yeah, so right, so this to F sharp minor, or it can go down to. So if you are in the key of G, let's say you're in the key of G, yeah? Now you can go to F minor. Yeah, okay. But you have to go to F minor with a C sharp in the bass, so. Yeah, difficult for me to show that on guitar because that kind of stuff. So when I write an arrangement, I do it on piano, right? And on piano, I can do that very easily. But on guitar, I don't know all the classical inversions. If you want to learn more about that stuff, listen to some Nelson Riddle arrangements of Sinatra and listen how he ends the songs, how he modulates. I mean, that's where all the knowledge is in a very condensed way. Of course, you can listen to Wagner. Or you could listen to Brahms. There's a whole system of Brahms modulation system. I can show you on the piano. I can show you on the guitar. It's very interesting, but it's very complicated. Just listen to Nelson Riddle, and you get per song you get one such an example. That's a better way, I think. It seems the lines don't work. No, they do work on ballads. You have to just. I think you have to practice a lot of double time lines. That's the first thing, and you have to play with more of a floaty timing. I can't show it because I don't have any ballad backing tracks. I'm gonna record one this week. Hello Christian, the intro to Mr. Pacific. That's really a cool tune. I don't know it. Sorry, I can't help. But I think there's people on YouTube playing it, right? Isn't there like a video of Jimmy playing it? Or Stefan Rambel, isn't there a video of... There must be videos of people playing it, but I really have no interest in, because I don't want to. It's more like a classical piece, and I love listening to other people play it, but I don't want to really play it myself. Of course I've heard Duvet's Pure Orchestra. Great stuff. Pretty sure the whole thing is on YouTube. Why do you think some players sound more like classic Django and some just gypsy jazz? Fabien Duvet, I can mistake for Django, would never Stockholm. Oh, but that's just because of the way they express the harmony. So, like, Duvet would never play an altered scale. I mean, I don't want to say who would never play it, but I mean, Django never played an altered scale, right? Stockholm plays altered scale all the time. Birelli plays a lot of pentatonic stuff. That's something that Django would never do. So it's that, and it's also the songs they play. Like Duvet is very particular about which songs he wants to play, and also which chords are used in the song, because it would dictate then his lines. So Stockholm is much. I mean, he plays everything, right? And he likes really like modern chords and stuff. He likes that. If he gets the opportunity to change some chords in the song to sound more modern, he would do it. So it's based on the tunes they play and the harmonic language they use to express it. For me, I like to listen more to bebop stuff. Just I enjoy it more. There's more different songs in that style, right? The Django's repertoire is pretty small, like the song selection. I mean, just go to a Gypsy Jazz Festival, and I can bet you that all the bands at least have 4 or 5 songs in common, if they don't play their own stuff. And in bebop, there's just more variety. And there's also more variety of instruments. That's why I enjoy listening to that more. And my playing is kind of a mix between those styles. I always say it's like a mix between Stockholm, Pasquale Grasso, and Martijn van Ittersen. It's because my playing is like a mix of those three of those players, just because I practice so many of their phrases. So I sound in between. But I love Duvet, of course. He's playing, and Fabi too. I mean, I play with both people, so. You often relate major chords to minor chords for improvisation. Yeah, like C major 7, yes. As long as I avoid the 6th F and always play the F sharp on the A minor, it works well. But for me, as far as shapes go, when I think of a minor, I think of the shapes for G major, since it has the F sharp in it. Yeah, but the C major 7, there is no F sharp, right? So if I think C major 7 of A minor, there's no F sharp. If I play the F sharp, then I would be thinking D7 or A minor 6. Then it would be an F sharp. An F, well, but actually, you can actually play like somebody like Bill Evans actually liked to play F major 7 on A minor. Kind of as a tension sound. So let's say you have a 2-5-1 to A minor. Listen to, there's a song by Bill Evans called I forgot the song, but there's a song that I transcribed to solo, and he does actually that. It starts with a minor 2-5-1, let's say to A minor, and he plays like F major 7, and then he resolves it. You can hear it; it sounds good. Can I demonstrate it? Yeah, I can probably demonstrate it on a song like "What Is the Thing Called Love." Now, I don't do that myself, so let me see if I can do that. That's a good challenge. You can all see me fail or be victorious. So it's F minor. So then I have to play D flat major 7. So then I would get yeah. I think it works. I can already hear it works. Yeah, that's really a Bill Evans sound. So it works, but you actually have to play the whole arpeggio and then resolve to the third or to the root. Right, that works. Let me do it again. Maybe probably also up, but that's less strong. Yeah, down is better. Ah man, that's a great sound. I should do that more. Typical Bill Evans. Okay. Thanks for the tip. Oh, but if it's not slow enough, Hans Peter, you can just use the YouTube cogwheel and put it on half tempo, or even slower. Or if you're really like smart with internet, you can download the video, or record your screen and then use transcribe to slow it down. How about odd time signatures 3, 4, 5, 4? I don't have actually any interest in playing odd time signatures. 3, 4 is not really odd for me. That's just a waltz. That's easy. I just play the same lines. They just end in a different place, right? If I play something like... I would play the same thing. And it's the same lines I would play in 4/4, but they change, they end in a different place, but that's pretty cool. You have to get used to it a little bit, but I'm very used to it now, and it's no problem. I bet it would work the same way for 5/4. I've never played in 5/4, but I would just play the same lines. They would just end earlier. Maybe I could add some chromatics. It's not that difficult. It would take you maybe like a couple of weeks to get used to that. But I got used to it with a 6/8 and waltz very quickly. Same lines. Yes, I have several videos. Hey, Matthew. I have several videos about chord solos and chord fills. I made two videos. Chords for soloing or something. They're very old, right? It's like I don't know, and I don't know if those solos of those videos are good. I know you are one of my patrons. I made a couple of videos. Peter Bernstein chord work, which is great stuff. Check that out. It's patron only. I made a I started a chord library, but not many people watched that. But I made like 3 episodes. There's some really great stuff there. The Peter Bernstein videos that are public also have some great chord work. But I'll show you one right now that you can use immediately. Yeah, so let's do that one. Or this, or another one, or this one. I'll do both. So 2, 5, 1 to F. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you play on the D G B string. You play 5, 3, 3. Then you shift that up 2 frets. Then you play, it's a B flat major, try it. I hear now. But that's, I'm so bad at fret numbers. 8, 8, 7, 6. And then you shift it up 2 frets. So you get, so the rhythm is 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? 3, 4. then you play this forcing. So that's forcing for C7, and you play 7 on the middle string, 7, 8, 8, 9. The same forcing as. And then you play this chord. That's I got it from a piano player, by the way. That's 8, 9, 9, 9 to F chord, and that's top strings 7, 7, 8, 8. So 3, 4. And I like to shift to those chords even. Right? You could do whatever you want. And another one that's very nice. There's a Martijn van Ittersen one where you have like a 1, 6, 2, 5 turnaround. Middle string, so like A6. That's normal. Then this voicing for F sharp 7. Now let's do it in a different key. Let's do it in G. You get this voicing for E7, 5, 6, 6, 6. And then this voicing for A7. That's 4, 5, 5, 6. And then 3, 4, 4, 4. Right, so you play Dinah. Now we get a turnaround. You can go to this chord too. Yeah, I know a ton of that stuff, and I just play them like one after another in a chord solo. Thanks for the multitasking. I should have made a joke. Like, what do you mean? What are you referring to, Hans Peter? Maybe a new video with some chord solo stuff. Yeah, but I have made many videos about it. But I'll make one. I can make like the top 10 coolest chord voicing formulas. Do I content to make? I was. The thing with the CRW series, it's the Christian's Rhythm Workout. It's like I had to make 2 backing tracks for that, and that was very annoying to do. That's why I stopped, because I had to make one with only bass, and I had to make another one. Oh, actually, for that series, I only had to make the one with bass. But then there's also people expecting me to then also make a video about how to solo on it. So then I had to make another backing track with the rhythm. But I'll do it again. 10 great chords that kill people. Yeah, it's so difficult to come up with titles. Actually, it's pretty. I am having a hard time getting enough views on my channel. It's very annoying. I have no idea. I'm doing something wrong. I don't know what it is, but I'm doing something wrong. I think the quarantine series was very bad for me to do on my YouTube channel, because there was not a lot of people watching it, and then YouTube started probably not promoting my videos as much, so the views went way down. Not my Patreon. My Patreon is going really well, so the people that are interested in my stuff are watching the videos, but it's not enough people. Like, if you look at my subscriber count and then look at my view count, it's very bad, right? I have 22,000 subscribers, but only 1,000 views per video. That's really bad. So I'm doing something wrong. I'm trying everything. I'm trying to do different things all the time to see. The kids. Yeah, you know, it's such a shame. And nothing bad about other YouTubers, but I watch a lot of other YouTubers just to see what they're doing, and then they talk about modes and stuff with many views. But then the thing is, it's very interesting to watch it, but then I don't see any application on a jazz standard that actually sounds good. Not yet. I haven't seen it yet. Maybe there's videos, but I can talk about Dorian for a long time. Although I cannot play a Dorian scale. Well, I could play this scale. So that's a C major scale. So it would be D Dorian, right? I could talk for a long time and like patterns, but I mean, are you going to show me how this is gonna work on What Is the Thing Called Love? Because otherwise I'm not very interested in it. But maybe that's because it's jazz, right? If you play like modal rock or something, then it's probably very useful. Or like there's lots of videos about pentatonics, and it's very interesting. But I mean, am I gonna hear it on Cherokee or not? If I don't hear it on Cherokee, I'm not interested in it anymore. I need to be able to hear it on Cherokee. Now, this is interesting because I was thinking about it. Let's say there's a video about how to use pentatonics, and it's very interesting. Lots of interesting stuff can be said about it. You can change the pentatonic scale to all kinds of things. You can change one note. And then, let's say this person is then gonna play a great solo on Cherokee. So, and it's great, right? So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna skip all the parts that talks about the pentatonic part theory. Then I'm gonna transcribe that solo and learn the 5 most interesting licks from it. And those will be then probably pentatonic licks. I don't care. But here's the thing. That never happens. I never see that. I never see this, right? I never see the solo being played on Cherokee. And actually in my last video, I didn't play a solo. I just tried it. Like, okay, I'm just going to show the lick. I'm not even going to play a solo. But yeah, that video is not doing any better than other videos. So that's not the answer. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what it is, but I watch lots of content from other people just to see what they do. Maybe I can copy something that I'm not doing, or maybe some video editing trick or something, and then I watch what they talk about. It's like, oh, it's very interesting. It's like, okay, when am I gonna hear the solo with this stuff? And it never happens. It's like I hear one phrase, and usually the phrase is not even that good because it's a phrase based on a principle that is not from real practice. Because we're talking about jazz here. We're talking about like Charlie Parker. Let's say we're talking about from Django to Michael Brecker, something like everything in between. But these people were not usually thinking about it themselves like that. Right? Maybe Michael Brecker was, but even him, he's more thinking about like patterns, right? I'm not sure it's necessarily based on a certain skill. Could be. I don't know that. Maybe it's your titles for your next video. Other YouTubers don't talk about this amazing trick. But what's the trick then? What trick? Give me an idea. Yeah, the thing with Brett is Brett lives very far away from me. He lives in Paris, and when we made this video, he still lived in Madrid, and we had a very fast connection. Also, he wasn't really that active in Madrid, so we had a lot of time to meet up. But then in Paris, he has a lot of work, so it's not really feasible to make that a regular thing. And if you don't make it a regular thing, then it's better not to do it on YouTube, because I mean, if you cannot produce regular content, your channel is gonna die. So that's why we stopped that. Yeah, but the video, but forget about modes. That video did really well. So I have to actually make like modes, why modes suck, definitive video. And just make a video I make like I usually make. Oh, thanks for all the followers on Twitch. I now have 99 followers. Thank you so much. People on YouTube, please follow me on Twitch. There's a link in the description. Actually, I'm gonna end the stream on YouTube, and I'm gonna play like a couple of songs on Twitch. Yes, it's a trick to get you all to Twitch. The reason I'm doing it is I don't want to have endless live streams on my YouTube channel. I don't think it's good for my channel, because my channel is not about live streams. But I do want to live stream. I really enjoyed it. That is a good title, King Badger, but I will get so much flack for it. Like, I can't, I can't do that. But that's a good title. The reason I want to live stream, but I'm doing that on Twitch. So that's my home for live streams is Twitch, and I stream every day when I practice and have conversations. So I'm gonna end the stream in 10 seconds. Come to Twitch, and we can continue the conversation. People on Twitch, the 6 people I see, don't leave. I have to stop the stream, but I will start it immediately again, like in 10 seconds on Twitch, and play some songs there. So Everyone on YouTube, Zenzodine and all the other people, Hans, 13 people I see right now. Thank you so much. Please come to Twitch. It's fun there. It's much more fun than on YouTube for live streaming. I don't know why, but it is. And maybe I can get 100 Twitch followers. That would be great. So, bye everyone. See you on Twitch. Thank you for joining.